Hey there, it's JohnBerry555 and welcome to my 10-part miniseries where I'm going to be reviewing the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, which was created by Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. So a quick overview real quick. The Band of Brothers follows E Company or EZ Company of the 505th, I believe, Parachute Infantry Division of the 101st Airborne. Not 505th, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division. Have some notes here so that way so I can check this stuff up, make sure I got everything correct. But yeah, it follows their adventures from basically their training all the way to being sent home. So we're going to start off with part 1, episode Kira Hay, and we're going to end up with part 10 points. So expect that this is going to be one episode a week, so this is going to be a 10-week long miniseries for me. And today I'm going to be reviewing part 3, which is also episode 3, Carentan. I'm butchering that French name, obviously, but we're just jumping right on into it. So this is a battle later on, and actually this is the episode from last where they were talking about the character or the officer was Spears. Basically the rumor is the rumor that he killed a bunch of German prisoners, which was heavily implied in the last episode. Now we're seeing the characters speculate on that. This is coming off of the D-Day invasions and all that, but we're seeing more progress being made. We're seeing the fighting from hedge road to hedge road. We actually see also like one private in Blythe who is suffering from shell shock, so PTSD, in the midst of the battlefield. And Spears is giving him advice, but it's not the healthiest advice I think that a person in his condition who is suffering from PTSD right after the event that caused it should be getting. He should have been, in a perfect world, he would have been rotated out and talked to counselors, not given advice by an officer who it's kind of implied that is a bit more aggressive than a lot of his counterparts, and aggressive in terms of battlefield and ruthless in what he's willing to do to accomplish their goals. But in the end, let's see. Now, one thing to note, this is actually probably one of the things they did get inaccurate. There was an event at the end where Private Blythe is shot by a sniper. What's inaccurate is that the episode ends with a statement that he never recovered from his wounds and died in 48. That actually did not happen. He recovered and he actually continued to serve until his death in 67. Now that is actually quite interesting. They did make a lot of effort to try to be as accurate as possible, but the main source of information were the men of EZ Company, their memoirs, their recollections, the oral histories collected from them. So what ended happening is everyone in EZ Company assumed he died of his wounds in 48, I'm going to guess. Probably because that's maybe the last time they heard of him. They assume he eventually died. So that's what happened in the show or in this miniseries. So later, circulation came like, oh, this guy's alive. And that was after this had been filmed and released. But that is actually an interesting scenario, and something very important. Our history is only as accurate as the records we have access to. If we don't have the right records, or the accurate records, we won't always be able to get an accurate history. We can be still authentic, but we may not be as accurate as we would hope or want because we are missing a crucial piece of information. In some ways, this is something an archaeologist knows all too well. They have to build with what they have. They know that when they're researching ancient civilizations or an archaeological dig, they are missing so much information that they have to piece stuff together, and in some cases make logical inferences and assumptions because they don't have enough information because it's not there. That is something that anyone in the history field needs to understand, and even people who are not interested in history or have studied history, that you're only interested, like you watch historical films and that, just remember that assuming they're trying to be truthful and authentic and accurate, if they're missing information, they may not be as accurate as they would want. And that's something to be important. You can even get a well-researched history book, and comes out, it's not, and then 20 years later, a correction's released because something's not accurate in there, because something they didn't know, new evidence was uncovered. A memoir that was previously unpublished was sitting in somebody's attic, and it was found. Historical revisionism is not just, as I was saying, is not just, correcting misinterpretations of history. It's also about taking new evidence. Sometimes that evidence may have been known, sometimes it may not have been, but bringing that new evidence, that new historical artifact or piece of information, and bringing it into history as a whole, bringing it into the interpretation of the story, of the event. That's historical revisionism can sometimes be used for nefarious purposes. There's no doubt about that. Propaganda is a thing. But true, proper historical revisionism is not about is not about erasing history. It's not about changing history to support some ideological narrative. It's about being truthful and accurate and authentic to what has happened, and you're adjusting the interpretation based off of new evidence, a new piece of information that you didn't have access to. And this episode is a perfect example of that. They made an inaccurate event, a statement, despite being totally authentic, because they didn't have the right information at hand. That's actually very important. That's historiography, the history of something. And so that is something, as new pieces of information occur, not only does the history change, but the historiography changes as we update that information to reflect the new information we now have access to. And then there's a few other things going on in here too. We see Winters further grow as a leader, taking action and all that during one of the battles, which is the Battle of Bloody Gulch, which literally is in a gulch, and they just routed the Germans, but while also being overwhelmed by the Germans because of the scenario they were in. Quite very emotional, very fascinating, all that. But I just kind of wanted to touch that on a little bit. But the main heart of this episode, I'm taking from that last statement that was inaccurate because the information wasn't there until later. And how that relates to historical revisionism and historiography, and how as people interested in history, we always should be striving to make the history more accurate when we see new information come forward. New information comes forward, we need to reevaluate the historical interpretation based off of that new information, that new evidence. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think? I would love to hear from you. So thank you for watching, and So thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like, share, subscribe, upvote, follow, check out the links down below. You know the drill. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good one.